Welcome to the newest episode of Saved by the Books, where two ladies with opposite reading tastes discuss all things reading.
Going. All right. Talking about hype first, right?
Yep.
Okay. Hey guys, what's up? And welcome to another episode of Saved by the Books. Paige and Becky are back, and this week is going to be a bit of a discussion topic. So we definitely want you guys to head over to the Instagram whenever you're done listening to this and let us know your thoughts, because that's pretty much the only place we remember to keep up with.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So,
but we love seeing like the iTunes reviews.
Yeah.
The podcast. Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So on the app, but it's like, yeah, we saw something, we're like, oh.
Yeah, so thanks for your reviews, guys, because yeah, we really do read them and they really do mean a lot. But yeah.
Yeah, they totally made our day.
Yeah, so. Definitely. Yeah, so anyway, we're talking about hype today because I just filmed an underhyped recommendations video and it kind of sparked some thoughts. Also, we both just read Red, White, and Royal Blue, and obviously that's a really hyped book right now. But
there's been a few others this summer that we've actually kind of been turned off because of the hype. So
yeah,
it'll be an interesting conversation, I think.
I think for me, I think I'm more likely than you to be turned off from hype, because like I just get to a point where I'm like, nope, never reading it now.
Right, like you kind of have a firm line, like never, where I'm like, maybe. So I actually, because we mentioned Red, White, and Royal Blue, I actually received the ARC for it at the beginning of summer, late spring, and so I was excited about it, just hearing about it, and then people started posting constantly, and then the YouTube video, like all the Bookstagram, all the booktubers started really hyping that book up, and it kind of turned me off, and so I didn't even pick it up until you read it.
See, and I tend to also be kind of oblivious to that stuff, because like I don't remember anything hyping the book. I'm sure I saw it somewhere, because like how else would I have known about it, because it's not my normal genre.
That's what I was about to say, because this is within that genre I would typically read, that I saw a lot of stuff about it.
Yeah.
And like the different videos I would watch or people I follow. And so I truly was, I was like, I got the ARC, I'll get to it at some point. But it wasn't one that I would have just picked up and bought until you read it and said,
it's the best book of all time.
Which it is a really good book. So, because I just finished it this morning. So,
yeah, if you like romance and like funny, cute reads, like, it's good.
Yes.
Even like I know a lot of people, because I've seen at least 2 or 3 people this weekend talk about how they aren't gonna read it now because of the hype. And I definitely get that, because I feel like it gets to a certain point where it's like no book will live up to the hype,
right?
Because the hype just gets so crazy. Like Six of Crows, for example. I could kind of take or leave that book, honestly. Like, it wasn't bad, it just isn't a new favorite. But people rave about it all the time.
And see, because that's not my typical genre, when I read it, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean, these are interesting ideas and stuff like that.
I did not enjoy it. It just wasn't a new favorite. But also, I tend to not like heisty things and like, I don't know. Something about the description with Six of Crows, like it wasn't, I kind of knew it wasn't going to be one that I loved.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think, there's another book, Illuminae, that's what it is. I don't like sci-fi, and so I put off reading Illuminae forever because I knew it wasn't going to be for me. And sure enough, I read it, and it wasn't bad, and like, but I knew it wasn't for me. Like, it wasn't going to be my new favorite.
And see, I did the same thing. I pushed it off, and then so many students in my school were reading it because it's in our library. Yay for our library. One thing that we got. But I read it for a readathon, and I actually listened to it, which I loved.
Yeah,
it was right around the same time you did. But see, I wanted to know more about the story, where you were like,
I'm done.
Yep.
I mean, and like, it's not even the, like, multimedia format, because I've read other books like that. I can't think of, like, what they're called now off the top of my head, but I know I've read other stuff like that. So it's not that. It's just literally the sci-fi. I just finished reading Mirage a few, like, days ago, and I didn't realize it was a sci-fi, and literally almost as soon as I realized the setting was, like, on a different planet, I was like,
Well, it's kind of like how you were, I think another hype series is the Lunar Chronicles. And so I truly loved it. I did put it off for about 2 years. I had the books in my classroom for my students, and I didn't read them. And I finally broke down, and it was like the first week of summer vacation, and I read them all that week. Where you, I think, have only read the first one, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and they're not, like, none of these books are bad. Like, I wouldn't say that there's problems with them, or that they don't even, like, not even that they don't deserve the hype, because I think that any kind of hype to get people reading, like, I don't care what it is.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe I've just kind of learned, especially over the last year, to, like, listen to my instincts and, like, don't get sucked into the hype as much.
And I think when it comes to some of the hype books this summer that it turned me off was Again But Better, and then Zenith. And like, I mean, I won't read them. Like, well, I started Again But Better, and it was just, every little thing bothered me in that book. And so I DNF'd it. But, I mean, everyone on BookTube talked about those, like, constantly, whether it was good or bad things, and I was just like, you know what, I'm over it. I've already heard everything about it, so why do I even need to experience it? And I mean, even Again But Better, that was the first, like, Barnes & Noble this summer started the YA book club, and that was actually their first book. So not only did you see it online constantly, now it's in all the marketing for the, you know, a massive US bookstore.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, no, I'm not, I can't. So I feel like those were the two, like, really big hyped, besides Red, White, and Royal Blue.
Yeah, that is a good point, though, because I feel like it almost becomes a popular thing to dislike the hyped book, and so people will start, like, posting videos talking about how bad a book is that's hyped. And so, yeah, like...
And I mean, I think we've talked about this before. We both respect the writer behind them. And I mean, and I follow them. I watch, you know, their channels, that type of stuff. But it's just so overhyped. I'm like, no, I can't, because I've heard so much about it. And that's how it got with Red, White, and Royal Blue until you read it. And I'm like, okay, well, Paige truly enjoyed this. This is a genre I usually always get, you know, I'm always excited about. Then I need to get the book.
Yeah.
And I did read it and loved it. So go get it. So this is more adding to the hype.
We'll just keep adding to the hype here of this
I know, because if you're part of the, like, Creating a Book Club or any of that, like, it's been brought up, like, constantly. And so I'm reading it. I read it for my newts. And so someone even mentions, like, oh, are you reading it for, you know, your friend's favorite? Because I'm pretty sure I know who that friend may be. This one.
And, like, Girl of Fire and Thorns, for example. So that's a fantasy trilogy that came out starting in 2012. And it kind of has the same tropes that all those books had coming out. So, like, that one kind of got to the point where it was like, oh, it's just another one of these. Like, it's another YA fantasy that's the same as everything else. But I really enjoyed it.
See, and I've only heard of it because of you. Like, because I never got into fantasy until 2 years ago because of Paige. And so that would be something I would actually consider. But I feel like right now, fantasy is going through the same thing as, like, all the dystopian books did a few years ago. Like, it was always the same thing over and over. And it had all that hype and build up. And then it's like, we just get tired of it. It truly does.
We were actually, this kind of reminds me of, like, the Harry Potter thing that we were talking about yesterday. So basically, I was watching an unpopular opinions video from Kate's Book Date, and somebody in that video said that they didn't actually like Harry Potter that much, or something to that effect. And we were talking about how and also Kate in her video said that with Harry Potter, it's really more the memories you have attached to it. Like, you're nostalgic because you went to the midnight releases, you went to the movies, you dressed up, like, you did all this stuff that it's not necessarily the material of the book. And it was really interesting. So I definitely agree. Like, with that and like Twilight, like, it doesn't have anything really to do with the contents of the book or how well they're written or anything. It's more of like the memories attached to those big franchises where they were really hyped. But then there's also all these other things that came out around the same time that people were trying to like recapture that, and like obviously they saw that worked, so they wanted to make it more for that, and it didn't work. It totally backfired.
Right. Like, and that's
like
I
Divergent.
And with the Hunger Games did work because of the story base. I think it was a unique, because that was our first big dystopian.
See, I didn't feel, because I read Hunger Games, I think they were all out, but I read it after the first semester of nursing school, and I was already over dystopians. Because I had read in school like 1984 and like not Angela's Ashes, 1984, Brave New World, like it wasn't a genre that was new to me.
And see, I think that was my first, besides, you know, The Giver and stuff, that was my first experience with more of a contemporary dystopian. So outside of the school. And so I really enjoyed it. Like Rue, oh my gosh, my heart broke with her. But then you had Divergent, which I read because of Hunger Games. And then you kind of got over it. But I think that era is where we really saw the hyped books, the hyped movies, because major publishing houses, they saw, hey, I can market it to these middle schooler and teenagers and young adults, and they will come out, because what parent is not going to support their kid buying these books?
Yeah.
And then it just, you know, I mean, to this day, we still have...
Well, even like Shadowhunters came out around that same time. And yeah, like the tagline on the book, I think the tagline gets me a lot, because it's like the next Twilight or the next book, and I'm like,
really?
Are you really though? So,
and see, I never touched those because of how it was compared to the others. So I didn't touch those books, and I bought the whole series because I was supposed to read them all last year with a group of us in the book club, and I failed. But
see, and I read them as they were coming out, because it was paranormal, like urban fantasy, like that's what I was into at the time. I was reading like Holly Black and like a lot of different like urban fantasy type of things.
But I think that series, just like Harry Potter, just even like Twilight, it's, even with all the hype and like some of the haters against it, it's kind of remained, you know, like that's a book that I see students all through my hall, like all up and down the hallways, that's what they read, are those books. And so I'm not going to hate on that, because you know what, it gets kids to read.
Well, I think also it's really popular, especially on the internet right now. You have to fall on either one side of the spectrum. Like, you either love something or you absolutely hate it. Whereas like most of the time, like, I don't know, I find it hard to actively hate a book unless it's like some, I don't know, like Mein Kampf by Hitler. Like I hate that one, I guess, but
yeah,
you know, like as long as it's not like inciting terrorism, then like a YA book, like I'm not gonna spend my energy hating it and making it so, like making it out to be so villainous in my mind.
Yeah,
because it's just like, it's a book, and there's thousands upon thousands of more to read.
And I think a lot of the hype that comes with the books is also now with the movie deals, like if there's a movie or TV series, like
I actually would like Hollywood to come up with something that's not book related.
Exactly, because right now that's all it's been. It's either comics or it's books, or they're redoing, you know, the classic movies. And I mean, and I think that's because there are not many original ideas, which it's nice to see writers work get,
for sure,
you know, I mean, it is, because you get to see that whole world come to life. But and I know they're doing it because they know the hype will be there. Those fan bases will go see it, and they may not like the movie, but you know what, they spent the money to go see it. Or just like Netflix, you know, everyone's gonna, the whole hype last year about To All the Boys I Loved Before, like they sent out all those marketing packages to the big booktubers, and they had watch parties, And so they kept building it up because they knew there was a huge, like, teenage, young adult, like, fan base that's gonna watch it. Because, you know, it was a YA contemporary. Yeah. So, and then that actually builds and, like, makes more hype for the book sales. So, I mean, it's interesting, I think.
Yeah, and I like that because, like, it helps the author. But, like, I don't know. I would really like to see Hollywood come up with something.
Right.
That's just, because I really, the art of, like, filmmaking intrigues me. I'm, like, the biggest, like, behind the scenes nerd ever. Like, I want to know how theme parks are put together. I want to know how books are written. I want to know, like, what the person thought as they were writing the scene, or like, I want to see, like, how, like, how much, like, things cost. Like, the Buffy DVDs, I have watched every single, like, commentary as the episode goes on. So obviously, like, each one's 40 minutes long. Watched every one of them. And Cody was like, I cannot believe you actually sat there and watched every one. I was like, yeah, of course I do. It's like, it's interesting to me. Like, every time they dusted a vampire, it cost $5,000.
Oh, really? Wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, like, that's just a cool, like, little tidbit to know.
Yeah. So,
and, like, I could just go on for hours, but, like, the scene where, or the episode where somebody really close to Buffy dies, like, they removed all the music to make it more impactful and to feel real. So, like, stuff like that is just really good. Yeah. It's fun to know.
Right. So, what turns you off with hype books? Like, what'll make you not buy it? Because I know we've talked about a little bit, but, like, what are some of the things you feel?
I don't know. I don't know if it's any particular, like, anything that would fit for, like, every single book. You know? Because, like, it just gets to a certain point where I'm like, okay, I get it. Whatever.
See, for me, I think if I've seen it so many times, I won't touch it. I won't spend the money on it. Because I do buy all of my books. It's ridiculous. I know this. It's a horrible habit of mine. Because our library is somewhat decent. But I'm like, or, you know, I refuse to get the Kindle version, which is so much cheaper. But
see, every time like, no, sometimes it's not. In fact, I just posted a underhyped recommendations video on Sunday, and I was looking up the links for some of them. Some of the Kindle prices were even more expensive than the paperback, and I was like,
that makes no sense. But, like, for me, so if I see it over and over and over again on BookTube or Instagram, I won't pick it up unless someone close to me has said, hey, it's really good, like, you should try it out. I mean, and I won't. Or, I mean, like, I just won't touch it.
Yeah.
I may pick it up several years, like, down the line or something, but, I mean,
I think my biggest thing that I've just, and it's just what I've learned this year, is, like, the whole, like, listen to my own thoughts on something. Because, I mean, yeah, there are going to be, like, things, like, there are going to be books out there that's going to be raved about that, like, if I picked it up, I really would genuinely like. But I'm such a mood reader that, I don't know.
And that's a huge issue for me, because, like, I'll go to the bookstore and I'll, you know, I found 2 books last night, but I'm like, I'm a mood reader, so am I gonna like it when I can get to it? And I know, like, I almost picked up Where the Crawdads
I was about to talk about that.
Yeah, and so, because that has been the biggest hype book this summer.
That's one I won't read.
So, like, just for basic literary fiction. And I wasn't even going to touch it because it was so hyped, because it's everywhere, and I think you guys know that. But then a coworker of mine who has a similar reading, like, she reads similar, you know, stuff to me. She's like, hey, because I told her about it, because she, you know, she asks for book recommendations all the time, because she knows I'm a complete nerd when it comes to books. But I said, hey, you may like this. And then she said, did you read it? Because it was so good. And so I almost bought it, because Barnes & Noble had it, like, for 50% off with the member stuff.
See, and that's one I probably won't ever pick up, because it's been so hyped. Like, I think the library has, like, a 1.5-year wait list for the ebook. And I'm just like, that one's, I'm just like, yeah, I'd probably like it if I picked it up. But, like, am I ever actually going to want to get to it? No. So, like, I'm just going to kind of write it off mentally. So that's, like, that's not a book on my TBR.
Yeah, like, another book thinking of that had a lot of hype last year was Before We Were Yours. And I was, our good friend gave it to us for Christmas, maybe 2 years ago. And then the one about the adoption. That whole
Far From the Tree.
No, the one that took place in Memphis with the nurse. Well, our really good friend Kate got it for us for Christmas. And I was truly excited to read it, but then everyone else around me was reading it. And I'm like...
I read it.
I just haven't gotten to it. And I'm like, it's definitely one I want to read. But because so many people around me read it, it kind of like put me off on it. I'm like, I'm going to be like myself and just read something completely different. Because I tend to read books that other people, I don't know, like other friends don't necessarily read. So like I'll have some that love like the romance or stuff like that, and so that'll overlap. Or like now I read fantasy, so I'll be like, hey Paige, or she'll tell me something, and you know, she probably read it 5 years ago because that's what she always read. But I don't know, I'm just really weird. Like if everyone around me is reading a book, I won't read it.
Yeah.
Because I think I want my own experience, and so I don't want to talk about it. I'll be like, oh, I haven't read it yet. So then when I do get to it, they don't influence like how that experience.
Even I was just thinking like A Curse So Dark and Lonely. Like it's really hyped now, but I think we read it before it really like kicked off.
Yeah, because we read it as soon as it came out for the Enchantathon. And I don't think I loved it as much as I probably would have because it was our group pick. Like everyone read it. And so I don't know, like I feel like I need to give it a second chance. Like it wasn't a bad book, like it was really good. The world was really
great. Good book, you guys.
I know, like really I think good. I rated it like 3.5, 4, I don't know, but I feel like I would have loved it more if it wasn't our group pick.
It was a 5-star read.
If I could like totally experience. But then you have the hype books, like we said, Red, White, and Royal Blue. And now, like, I feel like the people that were mentioning, you know, they aren't going to read it because it's so overhyped. I totally was in that category until someone who I trust read it and said, do it now. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
And I mean, even that goes to American Royals. Because, Lord, the hype at BookCon, seriously, it pissed me off. And it turned me off to the whole thing. But then this sweet, sweet person from Underline, who was honestly the sweetest person ever. And even, I mean, you know, what's the author's name? Catherine McGee was amazing. Like, the whole situation, she was, I felt like, really gracious.
Yeah, she was really
great about it.
And she signed some book plates. So
I know, you know what I thought? I was like, I should have had you get a book plate so I could put it in there. But anyways, I probably would not, because I wasn't going to touch the book because of my experience. But then the publisher, you know, because they sent me the book, Rebel Girls, was the one that was stolen from me.
No, that's not what I'm about. There was a book that was there. I don't remember. Never mind.
Oh, that was so, and then we were like, no. Was it, the curse? Like, I feel like it has all that red, the black with all the red down the front.
I don't know.
It was the first day, right?
There's like there's some book that we like missed out on, and I was like, well, I'll probably, The Merciful Crow.
Oh, that one, yes.
That was that was an experience.
Yes.
But like, I don't know, that kind of goes into the whole discussion of like memories associated with different books.
So it's like negative memories, and so
yeah, it's like, I mean, and it's the same way, like if like I've had shirts in the past that like something really bad has happened in my life, and so I never wear that shirt ever again.
Right.
Okay.
So I don't know, but I mean, I feel like that's kind of,
which I know people listening might be like, you're crazy for not wearing a shirt again, but like legitimately, well, because it makes you think of it, like attaches the memories to it.
Right. I mean, it's just like when, like I feel
for example, Sarah Dessen. So I read her books when I was younger, but admittedly, like I hadn't read a book of hers since I was like 18 or 19. Like it's been 10 years. But we went to her book signing when we met her, and she was so sweet, and she had so many like just little like writing tips and things that she was sharing with the audience. And just, so like now I'll probably read every book of hers that comes out because I have a positive experience with the author.
Exactly. Well, and that's like how I feel like with Julia Quinn and Sarah McLean, because I had a positive experience meeting them when I did, but also the interactions I've had with them and their books and like their reader community. Like, it's always so positive that no matter what, I will always pick up their book. I'll always buy it from the independent store that they work with. Like, I will do whatever I can to support them. And it's just one of those things. Or I was thinking,
like Meg Cabot is kind of the same way.
Meg Cabot.
I hadn't read any of her books since like the first 3 Princess Diaries.
I read them all.
But I actually had DNF'd Insatiable last year, and now we've met her and we like talked to her, and so now I'm like, well, maybe I'll give it one more shot because, you know, it's vampires and I'm all over that. So
right. I was even thinking, I just finished Roar by Cora Cormack, and because I got it, I think I made her buy it like right after it came out.
Yeah,
like, so it's been on my shelf for what, 2 years or so, but it's seriously sitting there, and I refused to read it because of all the hype. Like, there was a lot of hype, positive and negative, when it came to that fantasy world, and I decided to read it last week because I ended up with the arc for Roar, and I'm like, well, I gotta do this. Like, I gotta read this in order to give, because Roar's coming out at the end of this month. Rage. Yes, Roar's the first one. Sorry, y'all. See, I'm not that great with fantasy names. So, but I really, truly love the book. Like, I think it was an interesting concept when it came to
like,
I love
magic system.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen that before.
Yep.
And but so I feel like, I don't know, it's hard with hype.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's a fine line, and I don't think there's anything concrete, and and it's different for every person.
I will say I do judge a book by its cover. So I'm very...
You know which one I really don't like the cover of?
Which one?
That Cersei.
See, and I like it.
I don't like it at all.
I love the foil.
I mean, it's foil and it's there, but that don't mean it's pretty. I'm just saying.
Well, I think it really screams like Greek mythology.
Oh yeah, it definitely does that. Like, it gets the point across of the book. I just don't personally like the cover.
Yeah. That's actually for my
but that's
beautiful
another
cover
one
for the nudes.
that's one that there's a lot of hype around it. And Cody read it, or he started it and then he didn't finish it. I can't remember. But like, it wasn't one of his favorite books ever. And so like, now I'm kind of like, oh well, I might just unhaul it because I don't even really want to read it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be in the mood for it soon.
Well, I mean, it's just like, I picked up Mistborn because of Cody and Paige, because they really enjoyed it. Like, that's,
yeah,
you know, Cody. Yeah, Cody basically made me buy it, and then that does have. I mean, that is the biggest hype fantasy book, I feel like, besides Game of Thrones.
But then Skyward is also one of his books that's really hyped, and I hesitate to pick that one up because I'm worried it's too sci-fi.
Yeah, because that will be, and
and I'm just like, I don't know if I'll ever pick it up. Like, I have it. Cody read it. He liked it, but Cody and I also. Like, even though he's my husband and I love him and we do have things in common, but like, sometimes with his book recommendations, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He literally likes there to be no romance at all, and like, no anything like that. And I'm like, I want the romance in there.
Exactly. Like, I like, you know, I've discovered the fantasies I do like are the ones that have romance. Like, it doesn't have to be the main part of the story. Right. It can be that subplot. Like, I feel like Six of Crows has it. That type of thing, where it's subtle. Or the Traitor's Kiss, you know, trilogy. It's, you know, underlined. And
yeah, like, the plot's not driven by the romance.
I mean, it's driven by the action. And so, I'm totally okay with that. So, I don't think I would actually like a book that was straight up 100% fantasy, no romance.
Yeah, and a lot, like, I kind of talked about this too in either a podcast or a video, I don't remember, but like, a lot of like the traditional fantasy is written by like not older men, but men. Wow. And so, like, there's like this whole like meme online about like how men write women.
Oh yeah, I was about to say that when it comes to romance books, like how it's brought up in that. Like, I can't.
And then it kind of makes me wonder, like, how far off are like women, like female authors, from like how they write men. Yeah, I don't know, but like there's that whole aspect. So like a lot of time with like traditional fantasy, I hesitate to pick it up because I'm like, I don't know if like women will be represented well, or if they'll be represented at all, or if there's gonna be any romance. And
well, see, when it came to Red, White, and Royal Blue, I actually thought multiple times, I was like, well, you know, the writer's female, and so how does that represent? I truly thought about it.
It's an LGBT romance, and so
it's two guys.
Yeah.
And I wondered, and I mean,
but like there's such a big presence online of like slash fiction, of like LGBT like fiction, and so I don't know. And
then I'm like, you know, maybe, you know, best friends, brother, you know, could be, and so I think it was done well. I mean, in my mind, like I would totally reread this book again,
not
probably
that our
every year.
Matters as far as whether
it doesn't.
It's done well, but
right, no, it doesn't matter at all. But I'm like, it's definitely a book I will pick up next year, probably. It's like a yearly read type of thing, like I do with
that's like a book I want fan fiction for. Like, oh my gosh, somebody just needs to like start writing fan fiction.
Yeah, so you can get a chapter a week.
Yeah.
Oh, those were the good days. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like hype definitely influences my purchases, depending on what it is.
Even like I've noticed too, like I used to make fun of like Facebook ads and Instagram ads and stuff, but I've noticed, I'm like, once I've seen an ad like 5 times, I'm liable to go buy it.
See, and I don't. I'm the opposite when it comes to that.
It just depends, because like it just depends on how targeted they are to me.
Now, if it's Pride and Prejudice retelling or adaptation, which was big this summer, I will go rebuy that. I will, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, she'll buy that. She'll 100% buy it if it's Pride and Prejudice retelling.
Yes, but I haven't bought them this summer because I was attempting to be good, which when I do my July book haul, you'll see I was not good. But I was like,
I only bought 2 books.
I didn't count.
I don't even think I bought, wait, was it 2? I think it was 2.
3.
No, it was Red, White, Royal Blue, and I think the last Trader's Kiss, like the Trader's Kingdom.
Yeah, because that was at the bigot. Yeah.
So I've been good. The hype hasn't been getting to me.
I don't think I got anything that was really hyped, except for Red, White, and Royal Blue. I don't think any of the books, I don't think. We will see when I eventually film that. So,
yeah, let us know on Instagram what you guys think of hype. Yeah. Like what makes you buy books, what makes you not buy books. Yeah. Or not even buy, but read.
Say, what are you currently reading?
What am I currently reading? Oh, Dance of Thieves. I was like, wait, what am I reading? Which is the continuation of the Remnant Chronicles, which I feel like Dance of Thieves was kind of hyped.
Yeah, and right now it's super hyped because
the sequel just came out. Yeah. But yeah, I actually finished it late last night, and it was good. Yeah. It was really long. I felt like it felt long. But then when I was done, I was like, that was good.
Yeah.
So.
I just finished up Red, White, and Royal Blue this morning. I had about 40 pages left. So I read that, and it was definitely worth the hype.
Yeah.
So it's the cutest, like, relationship ever, and Alex, who's one of the main characters, is absolutely hilarious.
I will say with Dance of Thieves, like, all of the hype I saw matches the book. Like, it's not a book that has like that the hype says it's like something way different from what it is. Like it is exactly what the hype says it is. So.
And I feel like that's the same for Red, White, and Royal Blue,
which I think is probably when hype works on us.
Yes.
Because when it matches, when you finally read it and you're like, oh, okay, they were right. Whereas like if you read it and it's not like it doesn't follow that, then you're like, yeah, no.
Right, which we've seen some books that do that.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Go on Instagram, talk to us. Make sure you leave a review on iTunes or wherever you're listening, because it really helps us out and we love to see them. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
bye.